I know you called me to be, when all of these dirty things happen to me, how do I become that pure vessel? My name is Victoria Broussard, and I am a lawyer and I am also an author, but most of all, I'm a daughter of the Most High King.
Yes.
I'm a daughter of the Most High King, and I revel in that. That's where my peace, and that's where all of my serenity comes from. I don't know how many of you know my story, but I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, which endured for about 10 years from the time I was 5. And then as an adult, I went into subsequent relationships over and over and over that resulted in numerous abuses, sexual, financial, emotional, physical. And so when it was time to heal, the Lord was real serious about it. He was like, okay, this is what I want you to do, and I want you to tell the world about it. And I was like, I'm a lawyer, you know, that's what I do, and I don't really want to step into that because how am I going to look as a lawyer, you know, my reputation, blah, blah, blah. But the Lord was like, no, don't know that, you know. That's gone, because I had to surrender, just as we all do, to the call of our lives. So what I'd like to do is read a little bit of my book. It's called I, Comfortable Victim. And although it is the story of my life, I did tell it through a fictional prose because I'm a fiction writer and that's what felt comfortable for me. I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to identify with the character I created versus identifying with me as a person, so that they could maybe see themselves in the character and begin to grow and begin to journey to their true self the way I have. Amen. Amen. At first, I didn't want to read the book because I have issues with errors. And then somebody, my mom, you were there, Pastor, when my mom just handed me the book and said, Victoria's going to do a reading now. And I was like, I haven't read this book in like months. So I read it and I was stumbling all over. I was like, I guess I better reread this, huh? Which has really been a blessing, because when you're writing, you're just kind of in that writing mode. And then when you're finished and you see the work that you produced, it's just like, God, you were there every day doing what you do best, loving me. This was a healing and a cathartic experience for me. And the first part I want to read is the first part of the acknowledgments. I could not have written this book without the spiritual guidance of Pastor Gerald Johnson and his First Lady, Lady Marquita Johnson of Faith Culture Church. God used them both mightily, and I am forever grateful for your labor of love toward me and my family. As I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the aluminum paper towel holder hanging on the hospital room wall at Montague Southwest General, my mind drifted to the exams scheduled for this week and next. How was I supposed to go to class with a black eye and a banged up nose that spanned across my bruised face, and what I thought was a broken right wrist that had taken the brunt of my weight when I hit the ground? I kept asking myself this over and over, befuddled by the fact that I could find no worthy answer. What is the answer? An explanation for when a person continually puts themselves in harm's way. How could I have allowed myself to be abused above the abuse I had already endured? Something wasn't right in my head. I had to get uncomfortable with this cycle at some point. What was once the darkness outside of me had become the darkness in me, the comfortable enemy in me. Just then, a trickle came down my left nostril, and my nose was still bleeding, and my head felt like it was being crushed between two cymbals. The nurse came back in and handed me a clean, cold compress. "The doctor will be in to visit you shortly, Miss Delacroix," she said, rather unemotionally. "Thank you very much." The door slammed, and I flashed back to the small apartment where I tolerated many arguments and grumbles with my boyfriend of 2 years, Maximus. For the past 2 years, he had set out single-handedly to drive me mad with his nonsensical, narcissistic jargon and manipulative tactics. It started with barely detectable verbal and emotional abuse, and insidiously graduated to all-out degradation, both publicly and privately. Along with my bloody nose special, I got a side of 2 black eyes and a whopping headache to go. The punch knocked me off balance and I swirled around, landing on my wrist. This was the first time Max ever laid a hand on me. I was in utter disbelief, not so much at him, but at me. For not instantly calling the hounds on his bent behind. Why hadn't I called the police to have him handcuffed and arrested with haste for his unwarranted, inhumane mistreatment of me? What was so wrong in my head that I allowed myself to be misused to this degree? Rocket science, this is not. So what was my problem? Did I care in the slightest bit about my own self-preservation? Apparently not. Finally, "Hello, Miss Delacroix, I am Dr. Sheehan," he said as he sat on the universal black padded swivel stool. You know, the kind that's in every doctor's office all over the world. He extended his medium-sized right hand that fit perfectly with my oversized right hand. His hand was warm to the touch, not clammy and sweaty like many of the other hands I had touched and had touched me. I liked the way his hand felt. "Nice to meet you, Dr. Sheehan." I wish it was under different circumstances for sure. Man, did I ever wish that. This Herculean-like creature was a dime and a half. He was, for lack of a better word, an Adonis. Simply stunning. He had a square jawline, dark hair, perfectly framed light brown eyes, and what appeared to be manicured fingernails. I wondered why he wasn't in hospital garb. It was a fleeting thought. Who would care? He looked like he just stepped out of a GQ magazine. He made me forget I was in an emergency room, and my eyes began to wander. "Me too," he said, as he flashed the pearly whites at me and hesitated. "Miss Delacroix, can I have my hand back?" "Oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me." He sat down on the swivel-top chair. Darn it. I basket shopped. What's a girl to do? Of course, you have to get the book to know what basket shopping is. So that's my book, I Comfortable Victim. Gosh, you guys, so many awesome things are happening. You know,